Hello, this is Darth Dawkins. Heed my warning. Do not watch this show. Make sure you give this video a thumbs down and leave a comment saying, Darth Dawkins sent me, you stupid atheist. DD out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday Night Six Pack. My name is Jay, and today, we're a little depressed today. Chris couldn't join us. Life happens and gets in the way. But he sends everybody his love. He will be back Sunday for the debate against why non-believers are idiots, and then once again we'll be back for cults and conspiracies on Wednesday. So that's all I've got to start the show off. So I'm going to bring in, well, you'll see. Ed, yo, bastard.
Whatever.
Grumpy as always. That's how we love him.
What's going on?
Well, I hear you got a rant coming up.
Yes, I'm going to be doing a rant Monday. I hope I have enough energy for it. I don't know. But then again, if I'm really tired, I'll probably be extra grumpy and really cussing people out. So.
Extra grumpy, it works for everybody else. You know this.
There you go. Yeah, there's some douchebags floating around out there that, either have forgotten who I am or never really knew who I am and think that I haven't been doing any videos or anything because they're scary. No, you're not. I haven't been doing any videos because, well, I'm freaking working again and I'm tired.
And the grumpy rat to begin with. So let's bring in Miss Jen. Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Get it out there because you know you want to. What did you find today?
Oh, my new camera. Yeah. this camera I got for $2 in a thrift store, basically. Along with another $2 for a Google Chromecast, which actually works. They both work really well. I'm like, brilliant.
Can't beat that for $4.
You can't beat that for $4. Even if they die tomorrow, I've got my money's worth out of it.
So, you ready to nerd us out tonight with Matt?
Yeah, I'm ready to do the nerd. Nerding out with Matt is one of my favorite things to do each week. So yeah, definitely getting my nerd on.
Cool. So, I guess we'll bring in the newest member of the Six Pack crew, Jade. Jade,
What's up,
you're
kid?
muted.
Good morning.
There she is.
Professional.
Oh, every time.
You fit right in. Don't worry about it.
Fit right in with everybody else. You got anything going on? Anything coming up?
Not a whole lot. Jen and I are talking about something, but we don't.
Oh, yeah. Oh no, I
Have
have
any-
actually said that we're doing it on streams before, so you can say it.
Okay, yeah. So we're starting. That's what she said, or doing a That's What She Said with Katie
God.
as well. So that's kind of what all I've got going. And this.
So if
It's
you're
basically it's basically our own version of The View, only good.
Yes.
All
So-
right.
But this
this is going to be on your channel, Jen.
this will be on my channel, at least to
Oh,
start off
geez.
with the plan is to have a show where women in the community, we can get together, we can have a chat. We might have men on as guests, but it's the three of us who will be running the show, and at least to start off with, it's going to be all women's voices.
So before
It should
I
be
introduce our guest of honor for today, one, Chris didn't make him an intro, so I don't have one to run for him. But that's okay. He needs no introduction. I want to say howdy to the chat. Everybody that's here, thank you for showing up. I know Chris isn't here. It's going to disappoint some of you. Gary, you're just going to have to troll Grumpy. So, but thanks to everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're interested, we are monetized, so there are super chats available if you guys are so inclined, and we will read them out as we go throughout the night.
Woo-hoo.
But enough shilling for that. Other than the merchandise, make sure you click on the link in the red bubble, get your own shirts and throw pillows and stickers and stuff like that. Those
You
are
got
all there.
coffee cups.
No.
Not yet, but they are coming.
Fucking
Unless-
blasphemous.
Wait a
heathens.
minute. No, actually, I think there is Darth Dawkins reads the Bible coffee cups.
Uh,
Oh, I
well,
didn't
Yeah,
see
nothing
that.
with that on them though.
I went and got a shirt, but I looked for a coffee cup and I didn't see a coffee cup.
You better get coffee cups.
We're working on it.
Coffee.
So last but not least, Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Nah.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for joining us again from the pre-show.
I was kind of hoping I'd get a bit of music for an intro, but yes,
Yeah,
understandable.
I
Chris is
looked,
lame.
I looked. Chris didn't. I don't see anything, and Chris didn't tell me nothing. So, I mean, I could have run the Nevermore Tavern intro for you, but I think we played that one to death on the.
Yeah, we already
So-
did that in the pre-show anyway.
Yeah.
So
we rocked it and rolled it. So,
yes.
Matt, for those of you that don't know who you are and what you do, why don't you let everybody know what's going on, man?
So my name's Matt. I'm actually almost a doctor. I'm doing a PhD in physics, hence the name here. I got given that by Australia's Bill Nye, or Dr. Carl was the one who used that, and I decided to turn it into a YouTube channel where I tackle the life's hardest and most interesting questions, such as do submarines fly and can you pick up cows with a laser? No, I do actually have videos on those, so you can go check those out if you want. I'm currently putting a video together with a lot of help, including help from Jen, to what would life in this solar system look like if it was alien. So if we don't find it on Earth, what would it look like? And that's what I'm working on. That's taking a lot of...
We don't find it on Earth? What?
We don't
find life on Earth, there's something wrong.
Well, if it wasn't from Earth. So alien life in this solar system. I should have just said that because that's what I've been saying everywhere. Oh,
it
also,
would look like Joel Osteen.
Pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out
in space, because there's bugger all
Bugger all
down
here on Earth.
Yeah, so Monty Python for anyone who isn't familiar with that quote. But yes, that's pretty much my summary of intelligent life in the universe.
Yeah.
But also, if you've got super chats, if anybody asks any science question in a super chat, I will answer it no matter how stupid it is. Any science question, I'll have a go at answering it. Whether I get the answer right, that's a different thing. No promises there.
Oh, well, we're playing Stump Matt tonight.
Oh, you can try that.
Stump Matt, that sounds good to me.
Stump Matt.
But I think Jen's the one who generally needs the good stumping, isn't it? That's
how
you
I had a whole show devoted to it. And they still try to do it to the two of us on Schrodinger's bathtub, though. We get all the weirdest questions, especially from Nerdy. And Nerdy's dreadful.
So I actually have Nerdy in the background here. So this is my pet Nerdy.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a couple of my friends on last week who tried a few questions as well, but that was pretty fun.
All right,
yes, I do a regular show.
1 second here. Done, and save work. And there should now be coffee cups on the hereticals.
Okay.
I should have a look at this.
Classic mugs.
Nice.
And tall mugs. So I know, like I said, we do have them.
At a police station.
We do have them for the Darth Dawkins Read the Bible. I had to go in, and I hadn't got around to it yet because the way it's set up, you'd only got like half of the thing. I had to go in and shrink it down to put it on the thing. So it may take a minute. It may take a little bit before it actually pops up.
Speak of the devil, Josh is showing up in the chat.
Yes, I just saw that.
Hi, Josh.
Dr. Josh.
We were talking about you earlier.
It was all horrible.
Yeah, it was all horrible.
It's never horrible. Dr. Josh is awesome.
He is.
Speaking of the devil, does anyone know? Because I think this show seems to summon a particular Darth character.
Dawkins. Yep.
Does anyone know how to summon him? Because I'm actually looking forward to meeting him. I'm curious as to whether he'll show up today.
Well, we actually got word that Darth will not be showing up tonight. He's a little upset because we had his mom on the other night for the all-female, not him.
Yeah.
So he's going to take a week off so he can pray.
He needs a sabbatical.
So he can pray and hopefully get his relationship with Otangelo worked out before he comes back on to read us some more Bible verses. So there will be. His
mom seemed so nice last week.
And she's such a sweetheart, isn't she? She just loves Ed.
Have you met Dr. Josh, Matt?
Briefly on a stream before. I think we were. I've been on the same stream for a few minutes with him. So I think we have met. Yes. I
was just thinking we could have had a really if we knew Josh was going to be around, we could have had a really intellectual stream tonight.
Well, it depends how long it takes for one of us to go down the gutter.
It won't take long. It never takes long.
Look, I pretend to be an intellectual, but the truth is I'm educated beyond my intelligence.
Yes, I love that statement. That's another Dr. Carl, really.
It's funny because we were just talking about this backstage. Dr. Josh says it's probably good that DD didn't show up. I've heard that Ken Hopen has been tempted to debate him live. So
I'm just liking how my beer has now become a part of the green screen.
well, yeah, it's because you got
Oh,
the
that
freaking
is so
Heineken.
cool.
You got the Heineken, so
The weird thing is, I also can pretty sure it'll work with this one. I've done it on other shows before, but I have. There's my green one. See if this works. Yeah, I can do. Look, I can turn
Yeah.
parts of me into a green screen because there's a green laser. So, I gotta zoom out because it doesn't. Oh, it's a bit weak. I gotta change the battery maybe. But yeah, I can turn me into a green screen with a laser.
Oh,
It's
wow.
funny if I don't
Cool.
actually have a green screen set up, and I tell it I've got a green screen. They just get the laser, and I can like reveal pictures in the background. But yeah,
that is actually kind of cool.
I did. This is the same laser I used in a video I made about whether lasers were normal. So,
well, we
it's the
actually,
same
I
one.
just got some notification here that somebody actually wants to talk to you, Matt. So,
somebody.
yeah. Give me just a second. I've got to find.
There we go. Look, green screen. My hand is invisible. Sorry, I'm not easily distracted, am I?
It's like a kitten.
Did he take it? He took his intro off. Well, we'll just have to play this one again then.
Hello, this is Darth Dawkins. Heed my warning. Do not watch this show. Make sure you give this video a thumbs down and leave a comment saying, Darth Dawkins sent me, you stupid atheist. DD out. Hello, Matthew. I hear you wanted to speak to me.
Yeah, because I've been a fan of this show for a while. I've been watching it, and yeah, I'm a new guest here, and it seems to be a tradition that we all get to meet you. So I was just going to say hi. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. I take it you are one of these blasphemous heathen atheists.
No, I think the world's round.
Okay, but what is your
I
ultimate prime?
My ultimate prime, probably Optimus. He's pretty cool. Although I do prefer Bumblebee. I like Bumblebee more.
So you don't believe in the one true Lord?
Which one?
Well, the Lord God.
There's been a few of them in history. I mean, Chuck's pretty convincing to me. I quite like him.
There is only one true Lord. You are just another disingenuous atheist.
Disingenuous? How? I haven't lied so far. I haven't said anything.
Along with the worst moderator in history, that guy Jay.
But Jay, yeah, but that's just Jay. We all know what Jay's like. I mean, what were you expecting?
Well, I wasn't expecting anything honest from anyone on this channel because you are
What
all
about me?
Disingenuous, lying atheists who have no morals, no logic,
morals.
no logic.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
Darth,
I've killed just as many people as I want to. I mean,
Darth,
that number is still 0, but I've done it.
Darth, if you're going to be rude, you can go away.
No, he's just been.
And Matthew needs to quit speaking over me when I'm trying to talk. That is a major issue with everyone on this channel. You don't know how to just listen to someone who's trying to educate you.
Sorry about
and
that.
Save your. See, you're speaking over me again. Why are you speaking?
No, so it's
over
the delay sometimes of the headphones. That's one of the problems with the online one I've had is that you get a delay.
That's ridiculous excuses from atheists who don't want to hear the truth about the one true ultimate prime.
No, I know about Optimus. I used to be religious anyway, so I've heard about him, depending on which one him is. But I do like my history, so I like looking at all the other ones too. So, I mean, you got all of the Roman ones, which are the same as the Greek ones. You got what about Ahura Mazda?
But all of those are fake, and everyone knows they are fake.
No, not Ahura Mazda. Have you not heard of him?
Yes, and all of those are fake. There's only one true God.
Can I? No. But I'm curious because I thought it was Ahura Mazda. That's what someone told me the other day. I heard that it was the one. He was the one true Lord because he came first. That's where Christianity and Judaism get a lot of their ideas from.
No, that is lies. Christianity gets their words and their teachings strictly from the one true God.
But it has to go through prophets first, because it's got to go through other people who talk to God.
Well, regardless of how you look at it, if you do not believe in the one true prime, then I don't know what there is to be done with your soul.
Well, I would say probably not burning it for eternity. What have I done to deserve that?
Well, obviously, you're a sinner, and you've refused to repent for your sins.
Which ones?
All of your sins.
All of them?
The way you're speaking right now, disrespecting God.
I'm not. I haven't said anything bad about it. Any God, actually.
Well,
I
yes,
actually find the topic quite interesting, and I have looked at a lot of different ones.
You have denied that there is one true God.
No, I haven't. I haven't actually at any point said that I deny anything. I haven't said that so far. I'm open to the possibility. I'm not denying.
Yes, you have. You have brought up numerous names of other false gods, saying that they came first. There were no other gods. There is only one God. He always has been and always will be.
People. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting. History, not your strong point, is it?
This has nothing to do with history of other people who deny the one true God.
That's not really what I was referring to, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. Can I ask questions of you then?
Well, no, I'm not here to answer any of your questions. I'm just here to educate.
Yeah, that's enough, Darth. You're done.
No. I was just going to ask him how his mother is.
Well, he's got to that
Sorry,
point.
I was struggling to keep
He gets to that point where he'll just start getting bitchy, and so it's just time to let him go.
No, we're still having fun.
So we got a super chat from
$5 super chat from Godless Scummer. Ed is getting better at Darth shtick than Darth himself.
Oh, well, there we go.
Sandy says, Jeff, I was about to say he's adapting the character a bit too well. But the best one, though, comes from Digital Hammurabi, Dr. Josh. He says, listen to this, Matt.
Zoom that in. Please zoom that in.
Oh, my God. I can't.
Dr. Josh says, listen to this, Matt. He is obfuscating and dodging. Darth is asking clear and circumspect questions, typical atheist canners.
And it's about to asphyxiate.
Oh, man.
$2 super chat from Darth Dawkins. Fraud.
To Claire's question.
Was that really Darth
Dawkins? Super chat from him.
Darth, is that really you? Listen, man, I'd be glad to come on and talk to you in your own voice.
To Claire's point there, no, I didn't. That's why I kept having so many sips of the drink. You can actually notice if you play it back, there's a few times I did giggle, or I was like,
I was not dying. I was dying. I was trying so hard not to laugh.
Yeah, I had to cut it because Ed posted in the private chat. I'm about to lose it. Like, yeah, time to shut it down.
No, is that Ed? No, that's Darth Dawkins. I'm gonna lose it, isn't it?
That was fun.
I loved how salty he got over it when I mentioned Ahura Mazda. Like, he had no idea what I was talking about. I was, of course, referring to Zoroastrianism. Maybe he got it.
That was the thing. I did, but I don't know if Darth actually knew about that. So I was like, oh, shit, how do I answer that?
Well, I think it's
this can't be him.
Oh, wait a minute. Another super chat from Darth. $5 Australian. You all worship me, sad, really. And Matt is not a doctor.
No, I'm not. That's the whole point of the name of my channel and the title I've got. I'm not a doctor. I'm not there yet. And I'm not a medical one. I never claim to be a medical one. I really should put that down. I just the reason I love holding the drink though at the moment is because the green screen. I'm gonna empty the bottle and still be holding it.
Raven said it. Thought we have to threaten his cat. So, are you guys ready for some dumbass tweet of the week?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I want in on this.
Oh yeah. Where the hell did he put his in? God damn it! Where'd he go? There it is. All right. So our first tweet comes from Rahim J. Kassam. It says, atheism, secularism, and scientism caused a global pandemic that killed millions. Same as almost every genocide or atrocity in human history, man playing God.
So wait, are
We
the
have another
genocides
super
causing
chat, by the
COVID?
way.
Yeah. Hang on. Before anybody answers, one more super chat from Darth. Says, I have to go now. I have an appointment.
With his mum.
Of course.
With his mom.
Yeah, but she was so nice. She was a very a lovely lady. I wouldn't mind meeting her. I'm disappointed I couldn't meet Shmi this week.
Yeah, Shmi was fun.
So, yeah, this one just was like, really, dude? Did you not like, really? Almost every genocide and atrocity in human history is blamed on atheism, secularism, and scientism. I love the scientism. The scientism is the one that always gets me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've never seen how anyone can link science to genocide, unless you want to study the science of why people cause them. But like this to me, what always gets me about these is because I love my history. I like looking at it, and if Chris was here, I'd probably have a great chat to him, although he'd outdo me any day. It's his area. But I'm just looking at this going, like the genocides. No, I can think of quite a few that were definitely not anything close to atheists. Like, the only ones you get close to are the more modern ones, such as Russia, China. The ones under Pol Pot as well. But the rest, every single other one,
It's been religious. Or mostly money.
Yes.
To be fair, it's not necessarily religion. It's money and greed that causes a genocide.
Well, I mean, just look at the Spanish in America. They took out like 90% of the population through disease, and then everything else they did afterwards. Smallpox blankets.
Well,
Sorry,
Nerdy Rodent.
I don't
Nerdy
know about
Rodent is the
everybody else.
historyism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but I am getting so freaking tired of all these Christians trying to claim, that a certain person from World War II was an atheist because he was definitely a Catholic.
Oh yeah. I actually like World War II. I can I'm slowly learning the sequences so I can go like almost in some some battles I can do almost day by day, and I love my history. I can tell you how many U-boats were in the Atlantic at certain points of the war as well. Like that's how much of a nerd I am about it. And no, there was nothing about a certain person that had anything to do with atheism.
The funny part
And
is
also, if anything, he was the equivalent of a young Earth creationist for the day, I believe, too.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you'll enjoy conspiracies coming up this week. We're actually starting the Thule Society.
Oh, I'll have to tune in.
Yeah,
it's funny how the ones who like to claim that certain person from World War II must have been an atheist are also the same people who try to claim that Albert Einstein was a theist.
Yeah.
He
was, yes, he believed in Spinoza's God. So, yeah.
At best, you might be able to say he was a deist, at best. But even then, he really didn't.
It's weird because people like looking at his quotes like God doesn't play dice, and they forget his other quote where he's actually on record saying he hates people taking his quotes out of context for a religious purpose, and he is not identifying with any of those religions. He says it, and people seem to have forgotten that quote.
Because he didn't have a religion. He wasn't.
No,
he
he wasn't really.
against the idea. He was more agnostic than anything else.
He seemed to support. I did think he did support Israel a fair bit, but that doesn't make him religious.
Yes, but I mean, he.
Uh,
Yeah, but he was a non-practicing Jew in that sense.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. We're gonna move
Yeah.
on.
yeah, I know. It just had the darker
This-
side.
this
because-
is- this is
sorry,
dumbass-
we just went down the
This is
religion-
dumbass tweet time. Not like we can save
not
this stuff
nerd
for
out
after.
time. Historically nerding
Hey,
out.
every time.
You're wrong. Viruses aren't around in warm weather.
Oh
Come
my!
to
Come
Australia.
on, Bennett.
Come to Australia, please.
I know so many people that believe this is true. It's sad.
Yeah.
Like
You need to
it's very
come to that
commonly
thing of- yeah.
it's very commonly believed in my friend group that they can't catch COVID right now because it's too hot.
Yeah.
It comes along with that thing that people tend to think that they have more colds in winter than they do in summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't necessarily true. It does depend on the colds themselves, but it's not necessarily true.
We can all thank Mango Mussolini for, making that belief a little bit worse because according to him, as soon as springtime gets here, it's going to go away.
Oh, so it took me a moment for me to realize who you're talking about when you said Mango Mussolini, and then I had to put it together.
See, I personally I personally referred to him as the Cheeto in chief, but
Yeah.
Go in charge. Yeah.
so all right, next one. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and society has moved to a stateless anarchist system where population is distributed into independent farmer communes and everything is handled locally. How would diabetic people get their insulin or trans people get their HRT meds? Subway Cubano replies with, diabetes is a byproduct of capitalism, and in an anarchist society, it would not exist.
What?
Huh?
The
What?
Sorry,
Oh.
excuse me a moment while I go and leave my brain outside the door.
Totally unaware that up until the development of artificial insulin, diabetes was the #1 killer of all people. It beat out cancer because diabetes you got diabetes, you died basically over time. If you got if you got insulin dependent diabetes, you would die eventually.
I'm just hoping this person's a troll because if they really believe that, not that I had a lot of hope for certain aspects of humanity, but yeah, it is decaying quickly.
Nikki Daly's comment. What the fuck did I walk into?
Nikki, welcome to the dumbass tweet of the week.
Yeah.
Where's that comment?
I love this one. If you need this for a good night's sleep, nobody on earth would doubt that you are full on top of the line ammosexual.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree.
What
I mean-
the actual hell?
I mean, anything if you're brave enough.
You just know that at some point he's gonna wake up startled in a dream and shoot his own penis off, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Wait, can you zoom back in? I just realized, is the machine gun there like a is that like, oh no, like it looks like an MG42, but it's not. It's definitely not.
No,
Wait,
it's not quite an M60 either.
No, I don't know what it is.
That?
It looks like what were the 50 cal the American ones back in the Browning guns, but with like a shoulder. What do they call it again? The
That
stock?
might be a 30 cal. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah,
really
it
tell.
doesn't look big enough. But I was just thinking. I know the Browning did make a 50 cal that looked very similar.
Yeah.
But
Now-
that was like those are ancient, but yeah.
I
mean, I guess if
Kim
you don't have
Omaki
road,
says it's a BAR.
Okay.
that's no BAR.
No, that's not a. That's no Browning automatic rifle.
I thought the BAR was very different.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking of like the Browning or the something like that from the World War II era.
I like this. I like Verillian's comment. The only thing missing is the KJV head, his pillow. And Komodo says the Browning automatic rifle. It's not a BAR 30 cal. Yeah, who knows?
Oh, okay. Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not that into guns. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I
The
think
only gun I have the compulsion to fire is like an old timey gunpowder one because I just like my history. If you gave me the option over firing like some giant 50 cal like Desert Eagle or a Magnum or something or a musket, I'd pick the musket.
Kimmo said that was just
wait a minute,
shot,
Jay.
no
I've
pun
got to
in the
take my
dark.
brain out for the next one. I saw the top bit of that.
this next one, it's not a tweet. It's the actual description of this
somebody's
person's
profile.
Twitter profile.
This is his Twitter.
We live in a crater on the moon. Research mud flood to Tarya. Nazi camps were in fact transit camps to Palestine.
Why? Why do you exist?
The first bit is just mental gymnastics, but Holocaust deniers can just fuck off right out the door.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
Jen-
if you're going to deny the Holocaust, you're
So-
an asshole.
Jen, we will add them to the list of people I would like to relocate to Florida, move all the good people out, and then use the giant space lasers orbiting the Earth to carve it out of the Earth and let it float off. Into
And yes, Raven, it's your favorite, a mud flooder. She loves a mud floods. We got to do some Barnabas Nagy and his mud floods.
Oh,
And
Barney
you
Bust.
go, and if you go here and you look at the Twitter feed, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I imagine it doesn't.
I bet.
I think I'm going to need something stronger than a beer.
I think this is the last dumbass tweet. I think the rest of these are just funny.
Oh, godless
Yeah.
scummer.
Yeah.
Now I'm. Nah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one before.
What?
Wife stabs husband with squirrel.
Yeah.
Lovely bit of squirrel.
Now, does anybody know the story behind
A
that?
taxidermied squirrel.
Yes.
It would have to be, wouldn't it? I
That's
couldn't
all I
imagine-
know. I don't know anything else
Imagine you got
about
a
it.
real squirrel. And it's
Okay. I know the story behind it. I do not remember where it was. I do not remember their names.
Well,
But
that's right. And I was going to ask, have you actually recovered from the wounds yet?
no, listen, apparently she did not cook the pasta correctly. He took the pasta and dumped it on her head. She then picked up a taxidermied squirrel and stabbed him in the chest with a taxidermied squirrel.
I
my
still don't
God.
understand how that's like stabbing someone. They're
I will
not like a
stab
pointy
you with a
object.
squirrel.
With a
Like,
squirrel.
I know we
I
don't
that
have
takes
squirrels.
skill. You got to
here.
admit, it
Right.
takes skill to stab someone with a squirrel.
It says
Oh,
Bay
yeah.
News, but that could be Tampa Bay. That could be the San Francisco Bay Area. I like what Christian Duffield said. Florida lady. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. And then Raven says, yeah, he deserved it.
I kept it straight up
Clear
face
as
to
edible
Darth
cruelty.
Dawkins than this.
Remember, when you bury a body, cover it with endangered plants so it's illegal to dig them up. Follow for more gardening tips.
Love it.
Brilliant. Well, why waste a good spaghetti?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Christian
Yes,
heart,
now-
Jewish heart, Muslim heart, atheist heart. Not making a point, just showing off my collection.
I like it.
This one, I love this one. Oscar Mayer, next time you want to ride a wiener into space,
I didn't get a lot of responses, but I actually I'm curious to see what you all guys think. I did put a poll up I put a poll on Twitter. I asked whether people thought all these rich billionaires going into space, whether they thought from a science and technology point of view it was useful to society.
No.
But yeah, like that's all I'm thinking of is that rocket. I mean, they even gave it a head. I mean,
Yeah, I understand the head was the return capsule, but it could have been the same dimension around as the rest of it. You didn't have to.
oh no, I'm
out.
just thinking Austin Powers. No, that's
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion with that it's good that the private enterprise is actually doing this, but they're all doing it for their own egos and not for the betterment of mankind, which is why, I mean, anybody who sits there and praises Elon Musk for throwing new technology at us, no, he's not.
No.
Everything that SpaceX has done, NASA did 20 or 30 years ago, including landing the booster rockets of a.
I mean, look,
rocket.
I'll give Elon Musk more credit because the company is at least trying to be more commercial and useful about what they're doing,
and they are actually launching things into into
like
space.
they're actually like they're sending things to the ISS. They're sending things, so they're at least more useful than some of the others. But like, say Virgin Galactic's flight the other day, like
It's a waste of
that's
time.
not space. That's just a plane that flew really high.
People wank.
I got it, Jeff. I'll show it in just a minute.
Oh, I want to do that again. That was a nice pop. Sorry, I need something stronger for these.
Monk claims he saw a face of Jesus in margarine tub. Said, "I can't believe it's not Buddha."
Is that the big Buddhist Jesus?
Sorry, Jay. I know you want an excuse to talk about the BBC.
Oh man.
And last but not least, spoiler alert:
Oh, yeah.
Jesus wasn't vaccinated.
Yeah, what? 2,000 years ago, that would have been fucking impressive.
I mean,
He also died.
one of my favorite tweets on that was someone. It was like, oh, not tweets. It was like a picture from some thread somewhere. Maybe it was Twitter. Maybe it was Reddit or somewhere, where someone was like, their comment to the world was, what did people do before vaccines? They all, something like that. They were clearly an anti-vaxxer, and someone just put
died.
in the comment underneath, they died.
Yeah, they died.
Yes.
And this one, this was just sent to me from Godless Scummer. Jeff just sent this one to me. I love this one. That's how getting costume when Bezos returns from space.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Really.
So that was our dumbass tweet of the week, and some funny ones. If you've got a dumbass tweet you want us to share on the show, contact me on Twitter or email us at Hereticals. The email is in the description. You can find me on Twitter at Darker Brissinger. Or during the show, if you got something you find and you say, hey, you show this, send it to me. Best bet is to send it to me for Twitter. Then a way I can pull it up easier. But yeah, every week, dumbass tweet of the week. I search all week long and weed out the dumb and bring you these lovely nuggets. And then, of course, I've always got to finish them out with some really funny ones. So,
and
So
now I have something stronger if we get any more dumb comments or tweets.
well, that is the actual end of the structured show. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open Hangout this thing. We're going to let Matt and Jen nerd the rest of us out because they're gonna. So if anybody's got any questions, whether it be for Matt or Jen, or it could be for Jade or Grumpy or myself, post them in the comments. Let us know. Make sure you tag either Hereticals or the Nevermore Tavern, or if you want to, shoot a super chat. We'll definitely get them out that way. That way we don't miss them. Anybody got anything they want to talk about to start it off?
No, I kind of wish we had. Yeah.
I do.
What?
I need to really start getting in touch with more Christians and telling them to come subscribe to my channel, because I've been thinking about this. Technically, Christians worship a convicted felon. Jesus was a criminal, according to the times. And I've been a convicted felon, so come subscribe to my channel. I mean, I got something in common with your Jeebus.
with your Jeebus.
Oh, that's one for Darth next week.
No, I think if one of us was actually a biologist here, we could actually discuss the possibility of a functioning BBC.
Well, I do happen to know that the world record for the largest sea is 13 inches and is held by a skinny white dude.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody say the black man's got the great big ones, but the actual world record is held by a white dude.
That's more information than I needed. But
And that's 13 inches flaccid.
Jesus.
Probably at that size, it's probably not a lot bigger when it wasn't, though.
No, Jesus.
Holy Christ.
Yeah,
See,
probably
the
doesn't
other
get
reason
much
Jay
bigger.
knows that is because he was trying to see. He was trying to see if anyone else came close to his BBC, but I don't think 13 inches is enough.
Held by, yeah.
Held by its owner, Gary. Held by its owner.
I'm definitely going to need more of this. But also, yes, to try and shill Chris's chat, like super chats, any scientific question you ask in a super chat, I will have a go at answering. I mean, look, I'll probably answer any question anyone puts there. But yes, biology is not my strong suit. Physics, chemistry are closer to that. Although quantum mechanics, no promises. But yes, apparently for BBCs to go up, like the actual tissue inside that makes things like that expand is like a sponge, and you've got valves at either end, and it's about like flow rate. So maybe with some fluid dynamics, you could figure it out. Yeah. Yeah,
That
so
would
cut
mean
that blood
if
somehow.
if Jay got himself in a centrifuge with the BBC pointing outwards, he'd be able to rush all the blood to it and achieve a better erection.
Yeah, but you could make that argument about everything.
But now wait, if Jay did that, how many eyes would be in danger? Like
Yes,
I
we
enjoy
don't
talking
want
to Bobby. Chris isn't here. I had to throw at least one of those in.
Yeah,
Man, love me some Bobby.
30-kilometer radius.
All right, we actually have a question, Matt.
Oh, we do.
Oh,
Why is the sky?
why is the sky blue?
Because of the firmament. No, I'm kidding.
That's the color that God painted the firmament.
Yeah, but haven't you heard? It's because it's the color of oxygen. No, I have actually heard that used.
Oh,
It
somebody
contains a
actually
lot of
said that. That
oxygen.
is amazing.
And I was just like, that's not what it is. So what happens as the sun comes, or the photons from the sun come in to hit Earth? As they hit the atmosphere, there's lots of particles and atoms in the atmosphere, and the average size of them turns out that it's great for making the light bend by certain amounts. And what it does is that the wavelength that's really good at like kind of coming down and coming towards us is blue.
Yeah.
So it's all this weird kind of physics of refraction and internal reflection. It kind of bounces around these drops and comes towards us. I'm oversimplifying this a lot, but this effect works better at shorter wavelengths. That's why we see blue. So at sunset, when the sun is actually pointing more directly towards us, it's coming through more of the atmosphere. That blue light gets scattered out of the way, and we can actually see the red, which is why the color changes in the evening. But of course, there are a lot of other things. So the atmospheric composition, everything else in it will change that. But I am oversimplifying a lot. We did do those calculations a few years ago, but I don't remember them all specifically. But it's basically because light bounces around inside particles. But that's a drastic oversimplification.
So
Yeah.
that's fine because I'm not that intelligent. So
I was going to say you're drastically simple.
Yes.
So for those of us that don't exactly know what physics is, I mean, I kind of understand. Can you explain what physics actually is?
No,
Because there's going to
No,
be
I'm
people
kidding.
that are going to go, huh?
That's
So-
a very broad question there.
Yeah,
Jay,
it's actually
because
really
physics
difficult,
is a lot
but-
of different things. It'd probably be easier to start with what science is, which is the exploration of things in nature to help us find.
It's the process by which we
Yeah.
come up with the best descriptions for how reality works, or at least our reality works. I'm not going to get into any sophistry about solipsism or anything like that. I can barely say these philosophical terms. I'm just like, it's just not my expertise. I can't say much on it. But physics, I would then probably go a step further. I describe maths as a tool. So this is just to preface this so Jen doesn't try and murder me.
I won't.
I see maths is the tool with which you do science, but it's like a hammer. You can do multiple things with it, and science is one of the things you can do maths with, or you can use maths to help with. So physics, I would say, is trying to build up our description of reality from the absolute bottom up. So it's looking at from the bottom up, and then you might start to get more specific as you move into things like chemistry. So once your physics has got to the point where you have atoms, although the crossover between physics and chemistry is so broad that some of the professors I know of through the uni are only in physics or chemistry because of an admin thing. It has nothing to do with the area, because they could have been either. And then once you start getting to larger chemicals, then you start moving into molecular biology or microbiology. And then you move into the other fields that don't matter, like biology. No, I'm kidding. They're really important. But I'm a physicist. I'm not allowed to like biology.
So
But
biology,
basically, you start out with this broad aspect that is science, and you specialize down the things in terms. So physics is one aspect of it, which deals with the natural world. But in the same way, chemistry does that too. There's a big crossover there between chemistry and physics, because especially once you start getting towards the realms of quantum mechanics, where you're dealing with what particles are and what they're made from, where you step up a level from that, and you see chemistry. So they all sort of, at certain levels, they all sort of cross over, with maths being the tying tool that joins it all together.
So I don't generally refer to maths as a science, because you can do more than just science with it, which is why I like describing it as a tool. It's like a hammer. You can use a hammer for so many different things.
Everyone who does a science learns maths. The degree
some
of
level
pure,
of math.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to
move
move on.
If you do pure maths, it's very different. Pure maths is one of the few things you can have solid facts in, because we define maths, so therefore you can have a solid fact. Whereas
Jay's getting a headache.
Okay, we'll move on to more questions.
Yeah, because we actually have actual legit questions. So, Verillion asks, so why is Mars' sky red then? Is it always setting on Mars, and is Martian sunset infrared?
So here with Mars, its atmosphere, I'm not like, I haven't actually looked at this answer, but my guess would be Mars's atmosphere is so thin that the effects that give us a blue sky just aren't going to work. And once you back away from them, then you also have to consider you're looking at light that's been reflected. So it's also looking at absorption and emission, which gets more complicated. But Mars is red because the actual planet's surface is red. So it has a lot of iron in it, but it's also at some point in its history had a lot of oxygen, which is essentially rusted the whole part. Mars is rusted. It's like a rusty planet, which is why it's red.
And the thing you have to remember about Mars when you're talking about photos that are done by landers and stuff like that, Mars is very, very windy. You've got very wide open spaces. Even though it's got a thin atmosphere, it's wide open spaces, a lot of red sand. So you end up with a lot of red sand in the atmosphere, and that helps to color the atmosphere more red. Because you've got this red dust in the atmosphere.
Yeah, also on that, occasionally... it doesn't occur terribly often, but it does occur every now and then. You get planet-wide sandstorms.
Yep.
So you'll be just looking at Mars, and then slowly the whole planet just goes to this entire, covered in a dust storm. It's really cool. But because its atmosphere is so thin, those winds wouldn't really, push
Yeah,
on
you could stand
as
in them.
much as here. Yeah, you'd be able to stand in it despite being some of these storms that cover the planet, which is one of the few major problems I had with the Martian.
Martian? Yeah.
But it was, as far as science goes, it still was a fairly accurate movie. It's one of the better
It
ones
was.
because they actually consulted with NASA. So, and I guess you got to give them some artistic license. They needed some reason, but yeah, that one's a problem. But they did know their science. But
All right,
So I'm gonna go ahead.
I
Adrian.
have a question though. I don't know technically if this fits into physics, but we'll find out. Why does it hurt worse when somebody just barely taps you in the nuts opposed to somebody actually hitting you in the nuts?
Physics. Well,
For
you got to
every
start with
action, there's an
the
equal and
angle
opposite
of the
reaction.
dangle, and then you got to start. No, I'm kidding. The only thing I can think of is that the shock has something to do with it. So a severe impact, your body kind of goes into shock and shuts down some of the nerve inputs because the testes, so we don't actually get demonetized, we use a scientific term, as well as our extendable and collapsible components are treated by the body as internal organs. So when they get hit, your body assumes you've actually received internal damage, which is why when you hit them really hard, you go into like a shock mode and your body
Like if you've been
essentially does a full system reset. It's like a Windows update. It's just like, sorry for a moment while we go offline.
Amazing.
But that's why.
So the brain treats nipples the same way.
Well, we've got more questions here. I'm going to stick with the planets, and then I'm going to jump up to Christians. But D3 wants to know who can name the 2 planets with weak or no magnetic fields.
Venus.
That's a good question. The problem is a lot of the ones we think have weak magnetic fields still have some magnetic field, or at least evidence that they have more of a tectonic activity.
You've got Mars because it obviously Mars because most of the core of Mars has solidified because it's such a small planet.
There's still some activity from heat going on because we get our seasonal methane production, but yes, Mars actually has a methane production, which is really weird, which might be an indication of life. But it might not be. It's that there are other explanations, but
and then of course we're going to go down this whole argument of what exactly is a planet, because if you're going to include minor planets, you've got to say something like Ceres doesn't have much of a magnetic field.
Planet Ceres. I think it would be Venus
and Mars.
Sorry,
D3
Venus
said yes.
Yeah,
and Mars.
Because the other ones have enough. Like they're either made of stuff that isn't as solid, or they're big enough that they can retain their heat. Like Jupiter and Saturn are just, like, compared to the rest of the things in this solar system, are huge. Like Jupiter weighs more than the rest of the planets in our solar system. Like it has 60 something moons. I don't remember. I keep forgetting the exact numbers.
There are entirely different reasons for why Venus and Mars have small magnetic fields. Mars's reason is, of course, because and most of it's cooled off internally, so that's just mean, Jay.
That is mean. I'm responding to Gary about my green screen.
I figured that's what you were doing, but I thought it was funny.
So Mars has got less because it's smaller, it's cooled off, so there's less actual magma in the core that can create a magnetic field. In the case of Venus isn't much smaller than Earth, so internally it should have a similar amount of magma in its core that the Earth has, and we have recently spotted volcanic activity on Venus, so we know that it does still have a molten core. But because Venus spins so slowly, it doesn't have a dynamo effect, which is why it doesn't have much magnetic field.
Yeah, because when you have a molten core, the only way you get a magnetic field from liquid metals. Oh, Kitty. Hello, Kitty. Our tiger relative there. You have to have moving charges. You have to have something flowing. So, yeah, if you don't have that spin. Yeah, Venus is a weird one. But Hey,
I like
it'll appear. This is
D3
a
called it
lot of
negative
this.
spin, but it makes no difference which direction it's spun in. As long as
Is
if
it
it's spun at
Uranus
the
or
same speed as Earth, it would
wait?
have
Is
a
it
similar
Uranus or
magnetic field.
Neptune that's been smacked on its side? It spins the
Uranus
other way.
spins
It's
on its
fallen
side.
over. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Uranus. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of this will actually appear in the video I'm making. 'cause
D3
we
said
do
you
it
guys
kinda-
suck at Trivial Pursuit. So, next question from Christian Duffield. Is time travel possible? I watched Interstellar, then Back to the Future, and it's confusing.
As long as you're moving forward, it's possible.
Yeah, we time travel all the time in one direction.
You can actually change the speed of time. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't anything in physics that suggests we can go backwards because, unfortunately, that's just not a thing. You can't go that way. You could put energy in and return all of the molecules, the atoms, all the energy back to its original state if you had some outside source to pump it. But apart from that, you can generally only go forward. However, you can change the speed at which you go forward, and there's a few ways to do that. Anything moving relative to something else will have different times. So if I put a clock in a plane and flew it around the Earth and brought it back to me, it will have a different time than another clock that I was holding on to. And they've actually done this one with atomic clocks, and it's true. This one works. It's special relativity or general relativity. If you have anything, so you have that sort of movement, but also close to anything with gravity will also affect it. So strong gravitational forces tend to slow time down for, well, the whatever observer is in the field. So they kind of touch on it in Interstellar, but they kind of went off the rails at the end of that.
Which is an interesting thing if you fell into a supermassive black hole, is that in the time frame between when you passed the event horizon to when you actually became spaghettified, from the point of view of could actually take the equivalent time in the rest of the universe to the end of the universe, because time is dilated so much with that much mass.
Yeah, if you fell into a black hole, the gravity is so strong that as you fell in, and assuming you haven't been fried by radiation or spaghettified first, you would actually, what you would see as you fell in, if you're the person falling in, and assuming you got some spacesuit or spaceship, the rest of the universe will start to speed up like someone's hit fast forward and they're increasing the speed. And as you fell further in, because the light can get into the black hole, you can still see out of it, but people can't see in. So as you fell in, you could, I mean, eventually you'd pass the event horizon, although people wouldn't see you do it, which is weird. You would see the universe start to go faster and everything would speed up. And so you'd be time traveling kind of forward. However, from the outside, someone watching you fall in, and they don't have to be much further outside either, would see you start to fall in, then you'd start to go red, like everything about you would go red, and then you'd fade out of the visible range of the electromagnetic spectra, and you go into infrared and then eventually radio waves. So you'd be able to see what happens. I can also do this question while we're on black holes.
Can I put another point on the other one before you answer that question, Matt?
Go for it.
There was some recent studies done in the symmetricalness of time, because according to the way that light cones should work in general relativity, time should be symmetrical whether or not you could travel in it forwards or in reverse. However, some recent studies done with the mathematics of orbiting black holes, and granted, we can't directly observe this at the moment, but it tends to show that if you wind times backwards, you cannot get back to the point where you started from, which means that time would, if that panned out in the real universe, that would suggest that time is not symmetrical. So even if you could slow down and travel back in time, you wouldn't end up back at the point where you wanted to be, because time doesn't move symmetrically.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point too. It's hard because we can't test that. Although I did notice something that was a little bit ago in Randolph put in the chat, because he's saying he's not convinced by the atomic clock experiments. So it's not just those that we do this by. Like GPS wouldn't work if this isn't true.
Yeah.
So time dilation from general relativity, which is the one that takes gravity in effect, we know works, because if it didn't, or at least whatever we think is going on that we're accounting for, GPS wouldn't work. GPS satellites are far enough out and move fast enough that, because they have to be so accurate, I forget exactly how accurate they do. They need to be super accurate to the point where, the Earth's gravitational field and their own velocity changes their time compared to us down here, that if it wasn't for our understanding of how this works, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. Everything would get out of sync slowly or quickly, depending on how accurate you need to be.
And here's an interesting thing for you as well. If you were a beam of light, if you were a single photon moving through the universe, you would, from your perspective, move through the entire universe almost instantly because you're traveling at the speed of light. But we don't perceive it that way because of how frame references work.
Ooh, I got corrected by a professor the other day. So I was talking about how, well, not quite on that point, but on something to do with how photons are going through. So I'm not saying, so you're correct as far on that, but I got corrected on something with light, where I was talking about how, isn't it wonderful that we can look up into the stars and see photons that have arrived to us, that have been traveling sometimes for billions of years or millions of years just to reach our eyes of all places. And I got corrected that it's not like some particle that's traveled that distance. It's just the energy packet that's moved.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's all I wanted. Sorry, that sounds weird to anyone who isn't a physicist, but yes.
Yeah, because
physics is complicated.
You've got to think of the universe slightly differently when you're talking about quantum mechanics and the reality of things like photons and things like that. So it's quite
I just like Richard Feynman's quote. Nobody understands quantum mechanics, or I think nobody understands quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
So
the misquoted version. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, next question. White hole. What is it?
Someone like Donald Trump.
No, that's a tangerine hole. They're much worse.
Yes.
Fascists. I don't know. So there's two things coming in mind. I have to double check, but I think a white hole is kind of if you map out the maths for a black hole, if you assume like a point of symmetry at the actual event, like the center point of the black hole, and you revert and you mirror everything out the other side, then you kind of get this system where it's like having a parallel universe where everything going into a black hole here is coming out the side on a mirror universe. And I believe that's what you might be referring to with a white hole, where it's kind of the opposite of a black hole where nothing can go in and everything's coming back out. But also on that, because I just find this really interesting, there is a thing in theory called a Kugelblitz. So,
oh yes,
all energy has a mass equivalence. That's what E equals mc squared means. So, to the point where, let's say I take my cup here with some whiskey in it. If I heat this up, it'll get heavier because I've put energy into it, and that energy has mass equivalent. It's not going to be noticeable to us. It's so small.
You can measure it though.
You can measure it, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to be tiny. And in fact, this is how kind of the things like the atomic bombs and nuclear fission and fusion work. There's a mass difference, and that mass is kind of lost to energy. So that also means that even though photons have what is known as rest mass, so if you took one standing still, they don't actually weigh anything. When they're moving, they actually have momentum, which means they have to weigh something, or they have to have a mass equivalent. So normally you don't talk about mass dilation, you talk about momentum dilations in in relativity. It's confusing, but so even though light wouldn't weigh anything if it was staying still, because it has an energy equivalent, it actually does have a mass. Like it weighs something. You can push things with it. Has momentum.
Yeah.
So you can actually make a black hole using light. You get a bunch of photons and you push them so
Womp, womp,
womp. Screw you, Daddy.
Matt lost his train of thought.
So if you actually put enough photons close together, you could get enough energy for the light that the mass equivalent exceeds the critical mass to get a black hole. And a Kugelblitz is a black hole made from light, where the energy equivalent exceeds the event horizon. It weighs too much.
But can I eat it?
You could stick it in your mouth.
Another black hole.
You could still stick it in your mouth.
So
don't
since-
tell Ed that he sticks lots of things in his mouth.
I mean, I'm also counting on the fact that he's probably not. You're not going to be able to find. He's not going to find one lying around his house. So should be all right. For like a child safety point of view, I think we're fine.
So here's a question for you. This channel is known to poke at a certain Christian religion and whatnot. Do you think, or is there a way that physics or even science can explain the parting of the Red Sea?
I think people have had a go. I've heard a few explanations. But I mean, part of that also comes down to human storytelling and the nature of stories. Even when I was a believer, I had a similar opinion to a lot of this, is that a lot of these probably do have some physical explanation at the core of it. And then over time, stories get exaggerated. I mean, just think about any family stories you've told and, stories I've told. I can think of plenty that have been exaggerated within a few years. And you can imagine this going, over decades and then involving supernatural elements. So some of these, like, because again, when we think of, parting the Red Sea, we think of, things being split, like, and people walking down this channel with like walls of water either side. And it makes for a great visual effect. It's a very good story, but that's probably not what any physical effect would look like. I have heard people have spoken about possible asteroid impacts, things like that. What I think is more likely is that you've probably got something like a tidal wave or a tsunami, because that would explain a fair bit of it, because that would draw the water out first. When you have like a tsunami coming in, you'll get a lot of water being drawn out, which will leave what was part of the sea moved. People would cross, and then the sea's going to come back in and crash into people. And if you read the story, like, that's not too far-fetched. In terms of specifics, I haven't looked like too closely at it to have anything.
I was just trying to look it up to remember where it was, but there's a place in the world where there's a lake and river entrance thing, and the way that the tides work at it 2 times during the year, that there's enough tidal forces plus normal flow forces in the way that the area is shaped that you actually get a parting within the middle of this lake. It spreads apart, the water comes apart. It doesn't look like it does in the pictures of the Bible, but you end up with this land bridge that you walk from one side of the lake to the other, and then an hour or two later the water comes back over the top.
Ooh,
which is
cool.
exactly what they're talking about. So if you had the right amount of gravitational force in the right way, you could actually have the oceans move in a certain way. And like Matt said, if you had something like a tsunami happening somewhere, you could have it. It could have even been a rockfall somewhere.
So
yeah,
go ahead, Matt.
no, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay.
I will. Sorry,
So, Davros sent me the explanation for the white hole. He said, "What is it?
Okay.
I've never seen one, no one, but I'm guessing it's a white hole. A white hole. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. A black hole sucks time and matter into the universe. A white hole returns it. So that thing spewing time back into the universe, precisely. That's why we're experiencing these curious time phenomena on board. What is it? I've never seen one, no one, but I'm guessing it's a white hole. A white hole. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. A black hole sucks time and matter into the universe, and a white hole returns it. So that's the thing spewing time back into the universe. Precisely. That's why we're experiencing these curious time phenomenon on board. What time phenomenon? Like just then, when time repeated itself.
Are they talking about...
Hang on, I'm not done.
The Mandela effect.
I'm not done. So what time phenomenon? Well, just then, when the time repeated itself. So what is it? Only joking. Okay, it's decided then. We consult Holly. Wait a minute. I missed the discussion. We all did. Time is occurring in random pockets. The laws of casualty no longer apply. From what I'm understanding, is from Red Dwarf.
No, I mean, look, it's actually not too far from what I was saying originally about how it's kind of like the mirror of a black hole, where like a black hole is taking in. But I think most explanations don't generally have it as something that would appear in this universe. I've heard people talk about it as almost like a parallel universe that it feeds into. Yeah, it's beyond what I've looked at. So I'm not pretending to actually understand this beyond the most superficial of
having said that, if our black holes have white holes in other universes should have white holes in our universe, and we haven't seen any. And you'd think you would. So
I'm gonna pass this one over to Jade. Jade, do you have a question for the smart people in the chat?
For the smart people?
Oh, sorry, I thought
Yeah.
I was answering.
No, not really. I'm trying to keep up with all of this. I'm still learning all about physics and science, and I'm still trying to figure out evolution right now. So I'm just gonna stick there, I think, to start. I was told that evolution, you would have half animals walking around. So I'm trying to figure out the truth of that, because I know that's not the truth.
Oh, the crocoduck.
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes,
the thing is, there is actually a creature that we found in paleontology that actually would have been very close to a cross between like a crocodile and a duck. We've had crosses between crocodiles and other things. People don't realize how broad crocodiliforms in paleontology are. Like we used to have, like when we think of crocs or alligators, we think of, the things that just hide in swamps or in Australia that try and take, the giant, lizard-like things in Australia. But there used to be crocs that ran on hoofs or hoof-like feet across land to hunt prey.
Oh, wow.
We also had dog-sized crocs and cat-like crocs that hunted in probably the exact same ways. There are so many different crocodiliforms out there. It's just insane. If you want for some of these, Jade, I'd really suggest any of the PBS Eon channels. So like SciShow, PBS, like Eons actually. So the PBS Studio one. So Eons is a really good one. They take all those really interesting ones. Like they've got ones on like when sloths used to swim. There was aquatic sloths that were like seals and manatees. It's so many creatures out there that.
Nerdy Rodent has actually got a perfect question. If evolution is true, why are there still monkeys?
Because evolution is true.
These are all the things that I was told as well. And so I used to use these arguments of, well, why don't you see half animals walking around? And why do we still have monkeys if we came from them? And
the interesting thing about that is if you did see half animals, if you did suddenly see a cat giving birth to a dog, then that would be evidence against evolution, because that's not how it works. Because nothing evolves out of the clay it's in. You just evolve into a new species, but you're still everything you were before. We are still eukaryotes. We are still apes. It goes back.
It's why
you stay within the clay you're in.
It's why fish isn't a useful term in
biology,
taxology, when you're looking at the taxon, because we would be fish.
Yes,
but pretty much every vertebrate would be a fish, so it's not terribly useful. See, evolution is not. Evolution is just survival of those who reproduce more. You don't have to. That's how we.
Evolution doesn't care about intelligence.
No, it doesn't.
This is one of the big things that is probably going to be when we talk about great filters about other intelligent life in the universe. Well, why haven't we seen it? And then we say, we talk about the great filters as what could be things that could get in the way of other intelligent life. And the biggest one really is the evolution doesn't tend towards that. For most of the time that there's been life on this planet, it's been singular cell life. It's been microbial life. And then suddenly we started having groups of cells. And that was like that for a very long time, just very small groups of cells. And then we got more complex animals. And then we had the big rush onto more things. But even then, it's not until the really, 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 really recent time that we started developing creatures that were actually, we could consider intelligent.
Yeah.
Because they came much later.
Yeah.
See,
any form of complex multicellular life on this planet evolved about 600 million years ago. So that means that depending on where you consider life to have started, and that debate's still quite open, it's about 2.9 to 3.2 billion years of singular cell life. The majority of life on this earth has been nothing more complicated than bacteria.
What were you going to say, Ed?
That's where it all started to go wrong. We had them groups of cells that wanted to stick together. Now we got groups of idiots that don't understand that we're all
together,
human.
yeah.
Wait, but we're all sticking together. We're all here as a group.
I was also a young Earth creationist, so I did not think that the world was billions of years old. It was only 6,000 years old.
Yeah. And this is why, like, I would always say that it's not the people that I ever had a problem with.
Yeah.
Like some of the nicest people I've met at uni that have all been very religious. Like some of the people I've done very good science with have all been religious. It's not the people, it's the ideas. And look, we're all like, that's the thing I have said repeatedly on show after show, and will continue to happily do so. We're all going to be wrong. We can all be wrong about anything, including me.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say I don't know.
like being wrong. Being wrong is good because you learn something.
Yeah. And that's
I mean,
my
it doesn't
biggest
feel
thing
great
is
at
don't.
first.
Yeah. Like I said, my biggest thing is don't be afraid to say I don't know. You don't know. Don't fucking try to bullshit your way through it. You're just gonna make it worse.
And
I have said I don't know.
Don't get stuck being wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, on that, that's the thing. Like I've been at uni. This is my 8th year in a row of full-time study. I'm doing a PhD in physics, and I still wouldn't call myself an expert. Science is just like that. It's like 400 years of process. What have I missed?
So
everyone's giggling.
I just read Gary's.
I'm not that funny, am I?
No, I read Gary's response to Donna.
A mule is when a person sticks illicit substances in their body to cross the border. So how much longer do you got then, Matt?
So someone scared me the other day by reminding me I'm halfway through my PhD in September, but that's just the PhD. I did do undergrad, so I spent 6 years as an undergrad, including an honours year, which for anyone outside of Australia or the UK is like a 1-year master's. But if you do well enough in that, you can go straight to PhD. So I'm in my 2nd year PhD. In Australia, it's about 3.5, 4 years. We've all got like a 6-month extension because of COVID. They have increased it. I don't know if they'll increase it further, because I've definitely lost more than that. So it's going to probably be a bit of a struggle because COVID slowed everything down far too much. All going well, I should be done in 2 years. Now, when I originally decided to do a PhD and started telling family, most of my immediate family was fine with it. No one's going to complain. They're all great. But I did have a few relatives. It was actually 2 in particular that I said I was doing a PhD, and their first comment was, "You're going to spend an extra year at university?"
No.
No.
A lot longer than that.
Let me address this comment from Gary, Jay.
You go ahead.
Telling me, stop laughing, Ed. You're ruining your grumpy brand with the little, kiss emoji there. Hey, keep blowing me kisses. I'll show you what prison was like.
Oh, I'm going to give him some soap at you, Ed.
Are you going to give him a mirror so you can at least wink him during it?
Oh,
Yeah, I might give him some paper earrings and stuff, pretty him up a little bit. You don't want that, Gary.
So, do you have a specific because I from what I understand, you have to have a specific thesis to get your PhD or whatever.
Yeah.
What is it that you're focusing on?
So my PhD. So if I was going to say I had expertise in any area, it'd be spectroscopy. So that's using light to investigate some property of matter. And what I do is I build gas detectors for environmental monitoring, or at least I'm trying to. So I'm trying to look for very low concentrations of methane, but to do it with small, lightweight detectors that you can move around. I've recently started a new area. I got to be careful. I can't say too much about exactly what I'm doing because, IP and other issues surrounding intellectual property. But I am basically trying to make methane sing with a laser and then listen to it with a tuning fork made of quartz. It's a technique known as key-pass quartz enhanced photoacoustic spectroscopy is half of what I'm doing at the moment. It's very complicated. If you Google it, there isn't actually a lot on it outside of scientific literature. But it's basically I make sound waves with a laser, or trying to. It's not easy, and I need.
You're trying to make music with farts, basically.
Basically, I could do that. Yes. One area that actually has been spoken to, if I can actually get these detectors working or build a working detector, is we could use it for monitoring the methane output of cows. So I literally could be building a fart detector.
Yes.
But remember, methane is not what smells. It's odorless. So natural gas, they actually have to pump other chemicals in it. Yes, but no, not yet. I haven't actually got it working yet. The electronics of controlling these systems is really complicated, and so we're just working through that at the moment. I wish I had more of an electrical engineering background than I do, but I don't. So we're working through it slowly, but we're getting there. The other area I'm looking at something called fiber Bragg gratings, which is you use a laser to carve a pattern into a fiber optic, so that very specific wavelengths get bounced back along it, and you can do all sorts of fancy things with it. And the group that I'm with can do that with some ultraviolet lasers. So if there's any nerds in the group who know anything about lasers, you'll know those are very rare lasers.
Musical fruit equals musical farts.
See, that's the thing. The farts aren't musical. I'm making them sing. So I'm using the laser to make them sing. So I zap them with a laser and they sing.
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what that means myself. Be giving anyone any Cadillac jobs? Like hit them with a Cadillac? Yeah. I've done that before. It was stolen. I mean, it wasn't mine, so I didn't care.
So let's ask Jade another question.
Yeah.
So you've got obviously we know you still got some hangups from your days. Is there something that maybe one of us could help you answer that you're still hung up on?
I don't know. Right now, it's
because, like I said, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be scientific, but
yeah. Well, evolution is where I'm starting with science, just because that I didn't get to learn anything about that. So, and it's really fascinating. My daughter really likes chemistry, so we're also kind of doing some chemistry stuff, which I have found to be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I'm a chemistry major.
Oh, really? I did actually get to take one chemistry class while I was still in school, before I was homeschooled. And that's actually part of the reason why I got taken out, because I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to keep learning science. And that scared the crap out of my mom. So that's partly why there were several reasons why I was taken out of school and homeschooled.
Isn't it amazing how that whole thing, science is scary if you're religious. If you're fundamentally religious, it's scary because science is the big bad
certain groups. Because as I said, some of the people I've worked with have been incredibly religious, and some great scientists too. So yeah. But I would agree there are definitely some fundamental paths you fall down that and I think Jade, you're probably much better to talk about this than I am. But
so
to be fair, Jade and I did talk about this on the very first Schrodinger.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. My family is extremely fundamental. So very much the Earth is 6,000 years old. We came from, or the Genesis story is how the Earth was created.
Actually, I might have a question for you then, because one of the things that interests me, like in recent years, particularly because I actually teach, I teach chemistry. I don't actually teach in the School of Physics. I do it in chem because that's where I started and I just like teaching chem. But like I've become more interested in science communication, and one of the areas that I've looked at is a lot of this kind of the whole debunking of things like young Earth creationism, flat Earth, but that's more of a joke. I don't take that one too seriously because who does? But one of the things that I have looked at is, so when you do, how do you tackle pseudoscience? So for my question for you is, what kind of set you down on the path to come out of it? I really want to know.
Yeah, it actually was realizing that I didn't believe in God anymore. That kind of changed my opinion on everything. And so I kind of had to relook at why I believed everything that I was believing. And it all came down to, I believed what the Word of God said and thought that that was the starting point for everything. And once that was gone, then it was, okay, so what's real? And science became much more credible when God was taken out. In my mind, it became more credible to me when God was taken out of the equation. And so that's kind of probably the only reason that I stopped believing it, because so I stopped believing about a year ago now. And like 2 months before that happened, I still was having conversations with my dad about evolution not being real. So up to 27 years old, even with, I had moved out of my house for a long time, I still believed that evolution was not real. So I don't think I would have gotten out of that mindset if it hadn't been for realizing I didn't believe in a God. Honestly. And it was so, because I was told, so Christian scientists are there to prove that God's word is real, and any other scientist is trying to disprove God. Instead of just trying to find the truth, I'm trying to disprove that God exists. So I thought scientists were basically just inherently lying all the time to make it seem like the Bible was not true.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that line before. And again, like, this is why I don't hold anyone accountable for holding those beliefs, because there's a lot of people with invested interest to spread that kind of misinformation. Now, I'm just curious about how do you tackle those sorts of things? So for me, I think I'm more closer to tackling things like climate change denial, because in Australia we don't quite get as many like young Earth creationists, but I still have an interest in how that. So that's why I always love hearing stories like that. So look, I'm glad you found your way out of it. But
me too. And now looking back, I think that there are ways that if certain things have been presented to me, so I also didn't get to look at science from the science perspective. It was always like listening to Ken Ham or Ray Comfort talk about what science was
as
saying.
Australians, we Jen and I were both sorry for Ken Ham.
Yes.
Yeah, we apologize.
We keep trying to send him back, but you guys won't fucking take him.
No.
We
don't want him back.
Um,
Can't you find a little island for him? And actually, no, just follow my instructions earlier about
He's in
Florida.
New Zealand.
yeah, I like the Florida idea.
Yeah, but that's where Ray comes from. A lot of people think Ray is Australian. I've had so many people like make fun of Ray for being Australian. I'm like, no, he's not ours. Yes, we're sorry for Ken Ham, but
We will
Ray.
claim a lot of New Zealanders as our own, but not him.
No, I those higher ups I have very little respect for.
Yeah,
most of the followers like yourself, like, I have never had a problem with. It's the people who've misrepresented science to you that I don't have as much. I don't have a lot of respect for. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay. I think that if I had been presented with a little more information about, like, one of the biggest things for me that proved creation was real when I believed that was the Grand Canyon, because we were told that happened because of the flood, and you could see all the animals in there. Well, then I listened to Ken Ham debate Bill Nye, and Bill Nye explained that, on each layer in the Grand Canyon, it was the same organisms that were living there. And if it was a flood that caused them to be there, you would see them, trying to get up, and they would all be mixed in the layers. And instead it was perfect layers with these organisms. And that blew my mind. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that makes absolute complete sense. And Ken Ham's explanation for it was a bullshit. If he even gave one, I don't remember. He probably ignored the whole point.
If you call it an explanation, I couldn't hit that, and their follow-up debate that they called it, I could barely get through it. It hurt mentally. So I don't blame you for not remembering.
And the first time that I watched it, we only got to see, so I watched it as a Christian, as a teenager, and we only got to see Ken Ham's side and then little snippets of what Bill Nye's responses were. So I had never watched the whole debate until this last year. And when I watched it again, I was absolutely shocked that Bill Nye had such better explanations for things than what I had originally seen. Yeah. So I think it's just the way that, I was very sheltered from outside information. And unfortunately, if you're in that situation, I don't know how you really can get out of that mindset, because I was told, people are going to lie to you. They're going to tell you that this isn't real. They're going to have facts that will prove it. And I was always told to basically just dismiss that, because Satan lies and Satan is in the world trying to deceive you. And so that's what science was doing.
Yeah, this is, I think, coming to why I would never, why I always make it clear I'm never having a go at the person. I have some disagreement with certain people in the atheist community about how they go around it, because, I never would have blamed you when you were there, or I don't blame a lot of the followers who are there. Now, again, there are individuals who I have problems with because, we can show they've been dishonest, and I have very little patience for that. But these people do believe it. You weren't presented with all the facts. So some of the things I find from at least my own experience that has done this is when they've had someone that they trust tell them, I think you're mistaken. It's not you, but you've got wrong information. You're not necessarily at fault here, but someone's fed you the wrong information. I find when you make that distinction and don't make it about them, you make it someone else's fault. Mm-hmm. Which it normally is. You can make a good argument. That's, there's no lie or exaggeration there.
Yeah.
I find that's been more helpful, because mine's normally been with climate change denial that I've had more of an interaction with, rather than debating people young Earth creationists directly, though I would happily sit down and have a chat. Darth Dawkins might be a bit of an exception, because he gets a little angsty very quickly, as it turns out. I liked how he started calling me dishonest before I'd actually said anything. And then I was apparently talking over him. Did I talk over him? I thought I sat very quietly for me. I know I talk a lot, but
everybody talks over Darth.
Yeah,
all the time.
Not everyone.
I'm still surprised I didn't lose it.
From Randolph Richardson.
I was being a little slow. Oh.
Clockwork banana.
The adventure of a man whose principal interests are lying, ripping off stupid people, and the Bible.
He's been shown so many times to dishonestly represent people in interviews, debates. GE's a good example. I know. There have been other things G's only been nice to me, but from what he's presented, of what he's been able to show that he's had in interviews with him, and then what Ray Comfort has shown, you can show people like him and Ken Ham are dishonest.
Yes.
I'm not going to call them a liar on everything. I will give them a benefit of the doubt that they at least to some extent believe what they're saying, but they are definitely dishonest on occasions. I have very little respect or patience for that. But I have just as little patience for anyone who wants to lie about climate change or lie about science in general. I do not have any patience for dishonesty. But if people are wrong and they're sorry, I was wrong, I was mistaken, I'm sure, let's move on. I Don't want to dwell on.
I just realized I didn't share audio with that.
One of my favorite ones is where he actually hands the can to Kirk and says, hold this, Kirk. And I'm just like, just think about like a beer. Like, oh, you think I can't be an idiot? Hold this.
That's better.
Like things like that. Like, I mean, that's just funny. I never held anything. Like, I wouldn't hold anything against him for this. It's just a nightmare.
Oh, God.
Hannah, my nightmare.
This is Eric, the schoolboy who leads an amazing double life. When Eric eats a banana, an amazing transformation occurs. Eric is Banana Man, ever alert for the call to action.
Banana Man.
Those movies were terrible.
So if this one gets demonetized or has a copyright claim, we know it's Jen's fault.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jen.
I mean, like, did we want to take bets on how long it'll be from this moment on before Jen makes a comment about genitals?
Hey, we've already talked about genitals.
Which is why I had to say from this point on, because if I said it was, then I'd be making bets on things that have already occurred. So
I mean, you were talking about erectile tissue earlier. So I mean,
yes, that's because somebody else brought up BBCs and I had to talk about it.
all right,
I'm the scientist here. I was trying to be semi-intellectual with. No, not even semi. Like
Hey,
now I just realized
Randolph just sent me this.
Isn't any better.
This is comfort on apples.
Oh yeah, he tried to change to apples.
Yeah.
Notice the apple. There are 10,000 different varieties of apple, all the same shape. Close side, large groove for the human thumb. Far side, smaller groove made for the forefinger. Close side has a stalk.
Never eaten an apple like that.
Far side has a pad, so when the apple turns, it doesn't wear out your finger. Now, with the apple, you may eat the apple. Inside is this chewy, palatable substance which cleans the teeth. Apparently, one of these.
How does a human not understand how apples work? Like, why does it strike me like he's never eaten an apple in his life?
Well, we got 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds.
Away. And when you get to the core of the substance, so you won't get depressed, what has God done? He's placed these little seeds, and when you put them in the dirt, you get more apples.
No, you don't.
You're an idiot.
No, you
That's
don't.
not how apples work. You actually can't grow apples from their seeds because the way their genetics work, they actually have so many mutations. They rearrange it. The fruit of the seeds will never taste like the apple you had them from. If you want apples to taste the same, which is the few varieties that we have going around, everything from Golden Delicious to the Lady Gala, things like that, you actually have to take part of the tree off, go around to the stump of another apple tree and like literally push it in and then tie it up. You can't grow apples from seeds and get the same apples.
Nope.
I love Raven's comment here.
But I love apples. I like my apples.
Apples and bananas are not that
if
good
he does
for you.
one about the cauliflower, he's really in for it again, isn't he?
No, Kent Hoven has already done.
Kent tried to do the cauliflower, did he? Did he do the same mistake that he didn't realize that we cultivated the cauliflower as well?
No, he realized it. He just didn't understand what he was talking about as usual. Like, I wouldn't probably want to have a formal debate with him, but a discussion where we had a moderator that could shut him up when he got stupid. I wouldn't mind doing that. I would be curious to have like a talk about science, like try and leave like the religious aspect out with someone like Darth or someone like Altangelo, any of them.
Well, the problem with those two is that'll never happen.
Yeah,
I know.
But if you could find it, it's always going to be God.
Yeah, like about what their understanding of science. Like, I think if you could find someone like that who you could sit down long enough with, I think it would probably be quite a useful conversation. Even if they did end up going down that route, Jay, I think it would still say a lot. I know people have tried. I just kind of curious, but as I said earlier, if someone wants to set up a debate like that, I would happily do it. Again, I don't know how long my patience would last. I'm weird. I like have a really good long-term patience, but not a very good short-term patience. So see how things work. I mean, I guess I've spent how many years at uni?
Matt, I wanted to go back to what you said about talking to someone and showing it's not them, but the idea. And now that you say that, it was actually my dad who kind of did that. We were talking about evolution, and I was saying what I believed about evolution. And my dad was like, I think that you didn't get to learn and understand what evolution actually was. And so he sent me some stuff about evolution and made it a little more easier for me to be like, okay, maybe I am wrong about this, and it is just I didn't learn. So I think that is a good idea and a good way to start, at least. It put a
One of
seed
the
of
problems
doubt.
with evolution is when you get down to the base description of change in allele frequencies over time, most people go, "What? What are you saying? What exactly are you saying by saying that?" And
my favorite one on that was when Kent Hovind got asked what an allele was, and he couldn't answer it.
Was he not prepared
I'm
for
not
that?
prepared for that. Yeah.
This is just mean. This is just mean.
Jeff,
Well.
you. Oh,
Jeff,
you little dummy.
that like Raven said, shame on you.
I
Never,
think that's
ever
quite
have a
ironic.
conversation with G-Man.
I think it's quite ironic to say that G-Man is down to earth. There we go. I think I'm displaying. I really know far too much about all the pseudo-scientific people out there. But again, as I have mentioned, I do have an interest in how you combat that in the general public, because science communication is an interest to me.
I've noticed something, especially here with this chat right now.
Apart from BBCs?
No, evolution helped a lot of people, including Jade and many others, kind of shy away from, religions. I've used evolution to get a lot of people out of white supremacy. There's a correlation here. Education is key to bad ideas.
It's not necessarily about evolution either. It is just education and
Yeah.
science. Bad ideas flourish in environments where the education system isn't good.
Yeah,
I guess I would simplify it to what I was mentioning earlier, is that you have to teach everyone we can be wrong and we will be wrong. There is no such thing as infallible. I definitely hold things that are incorrect. And so what I should be doing is, if I'm going to present, so this goes for like anyone with a channel, including myself, when I present a video, it is my responsibility to check the information.
Yeah.
But yes, it's hard. People do have biases. Again, it's, how much guilt you hold on each person, I would say varies case to case. Sorry?
But the Holy Book is infallible.
And that's why I had so much arrogance, was because I knew the truth. I knew what the Bible said, and that was the truth. And so I could dismiss anything people said.
I wonder, I'm curious, Jade, whether you would think this as well, whether a counter to that, again, like I would never, like my counter to that is not that the Bible can be infallible. Yes, it clearly has been if you take it from a literal point of view. But that you're still a person and your interpretation can always be fallible. I've always thought that our interpretation of what's around us can be infallible. And I've wondered whether that would help better. So instead of saying, well, even if it was, how do you know your reading is correct, your understanding is correct? With that, do you think that might be a more helpful approach to kind of separate it out so that you're not necessarily saying, no, the Bible's wrong, because then you fit into all the lies about, people being like just doing science to disprove God that you were mentioning earlier. But
would you be wrong about your interpretation of the Bible?
Do you think that would help, or
kind of? So I've kind of had that approach as well. it didn't work for me necessarily, but that was just because, I feel like my situation was a little different, just because I grew up in a extremely fundamental home, and I was taken out of school by the time I hit high school and didn't get to learn anything outside of religion from that point. So I may have had a little bit of a different experience, but when that was presented to me, it's just this idea of everyone else is wrong, and it's okay to just be like, no, you're wrong and I'm right. So it didn't matter to me. Like, if people brought up, well, how do you know your God is the right God? Or how do you know your Bible is the right Bible? Or how do you know your interpretation is right? I just knew, because that's what God had told me. I had, experienced God. And so I knew from my own personal experiences that it was correct. It wasn't until I understood that I guess kind of, because it wasn't until I understood that my interpretation of my experiences was wrong. Someone presented the idea that when I go to a concert and I'm with people, it doesn't even have to be a Christian concert, I get that same euphoria being in a crowd, listening to the music, as I do when I was praying. Yeah, exactly. So I was learning what all of these things could actually be instead of what I thought. And that kind of helped, I guess. Sorry, I am terrible at putting my ideas into a...
No, I think you were very...
I understood it. You're good.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we can come from a point of understanding, it's, we underestimate how powerful some of our own experiences can be at explaining to other people what it's like. Yeah, I don't have a story that quite relates to that. I was never like a young earth creation. I used to be religious. I was raised Roman Catholic, and I used to be a climate change denier.
Yep.
I say that now as someone who now builds gas detectors for environmental monitoring.
That's another thing I'm learning about.
But one of the other things I can draw parallels there is that one of the things I've noticed, one of the ways to tell when I'm likely to have something incorrect myself, like I believe something wrong, is when I'm having to fight against the majority of, like, say, the scientific consensus, or when it gets to the point where somehow I've realized something that the majority of experts hasn't, or the majority of people hasn't, when I haven't actually fully that normally tells me I don't fully understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Again, that could be more of a personal thing, but that was kind of how I came to realize that what I was originally believing about, say, climate change not being what it actually is, was that, wait a minute, these people who are saying that have spent their entire lives devoted to it. And not like in a religious way, but in like their career, they've studied it, they've been doing it, they can prove this. And they're experts no different from the doctors that we go to, from what I do. They're not different. Like the people doing PhDs in climate science aren't following a drastically different method to me. If somehow they were all wrong, or they were all corrupted somehow, that would mean that the process I'm doing right now could be the same. So if I had as much trust in what I'm doing, whatever level that is, then why shouldn't I give it to these people? Once I realized that, I'm like, well, maybe let's have a look at this. Let's actually go back to what the main basics were, like the fundamentals were, and have another look at them. And I'm wondering, there might be parallels there, but again, I don't want to say that they're all the same experience. Sorry, no, we've gone down a really serious path here.
No.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I think that also understanding that it's not this everyone against, or people for God and then people against God. Like, that's the whole world does not fit into those two categories.
Yeah.
And science does not
It's
fit
almost
into
like this
two.
conspiratorial thinking. Whenever
Yes.
there are certain markers for it, and once you spot them, to me now, that's a massive alarm bell for you've got to go back and have a look at, like you really have to check. But again, that wasn't something I was wired for.
Sorry, Matt. my point would be that as soon as somebody starts saying it's either us or them, they probably don't have a valid point.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever that black and white.
That's one of the things with science is that when you actually look at what is the scientific consensus, it is never an us versus them.
No.
Like, as I said, like some of the people I've worked with over the years, some of the people I've met, some of my friends, fairly close friends too, have been incredibly religious. One of the, so like I spoke to someone who's one of the people who runs the Evangelical Union at the uni, and they're huge. It's one of the biggest societies at the uni, but and their science body is one of the biggest parts they have. But that's also to do with the fact that the science faculty is one of the largest ones at the uni. It has more students, so take that for what it is. But inside that, it's never an us versus them about what the scientific consensus says. A lot of us can agree. A lot of them are good scientists as well. I mean, if we sat down and talked about religious beliefs, we'd have a difference, but it's never that. But yeah, that this whole point of when you have to do that, or when you have to limit what you show of the other side, that to me is a massive alarm bell.
Oh, yeah. And it led us to believe some almost every conspiracy theory that's been on here, my family believed in at one time or another. So,
yeah. I thought
yeah, I think it is that.
It's nerdy.
Yeah, this is my pet nerdy. Sorry, this side. My camera's mirrored at the moment, so it's the other way around to me. But yes, it's my pet nerdy. See, see, this is the face he pulls when he hears pseudoscience nonsense. Like me. I actually used to have pet mice when I was in like year 6. So yes, not as long as ago for anyone else on this panel. But when I was yes, but not just because they felt like it. There's normally something else going on. Often
like you haven't fed,
young
you forgot
dying.
to feed them or something.
Yeah, or they had like a young that died, and it was actually probably like how they got rid of bodies so that they didn't sit in the nest and decay. Like it was never as simple as we thought. And in fact, like I have a whole video that way. I have a whole video on my channel how rats are actually friendly.
No, we've got
They're
rats.
much more empathetic than we thought. Might have originally thought. That's one of the favorite videos I have on the channel. Originally, I didn't put that video up because I didn't think it was very good, because it's the only video you don't see my face in. It's just, have different pictures I talk over. But then I showed it to my siblings and they loved it. I was like, no. So it turns out so far my ability to judge videos that I think are good on my channel is completely inverse to how many views they get.
Yep.
Yeah, so until my videos have been out for a while, they're not that. So I'm hoping I'm wrong about the one I'm trying to make at the moment. But yeah, like some of the ones, like I don't like my earlier videos compared to my later ones.
Nobody likes their early videos.
No one likes their early
We did a whole
second
thing.
video
We did a
is
whole
that-
thing last week about that.
Yeah.
But my second video is now my number 1 on the channel. It's overtaken the other one that was the Bond gadgets previously, and it's just like I don't know how it has.
My biggest video I have on my channel right now is my what Albert Pike actually said about Lucifer, and it was especially targeting quote mining. It's not my favorite video. I don't.
Has
I'm
it
not
had
particularly.
more views than that?
Yes, it surpassed it.
It surpassed. Oh, that's so nice.
But that one's set to private. That one's not up anymore. But I don't like the video. I don't think I did a good job on it. But it is the video I've got the most views on, and it's just like,
yeah. However, I do also, while we're on this topic, want to point out that Jen's most popular video is now at like 80,000 views.
You want to know?
Holy cow.
It's at 85,000.
Oh,
That's
84
awesome.
the other day.
But you got to allow for the fact that it is also my least watched 3 video, and it ruins my average watch time for all my other videos on my channel.
What is
watch the
percentage?
of how much of my videos are watched because of that video, because of the number of people who go and watch it and rewatch it for that first 20 seconds of the video. that it has ruined my average watch time on my channel. So that even with the long streams that I do that get really good watch times and things like that, the analytics on my channel says that my engagement, my average view time is 2.1 minutes on my channel. And that's what that video has done to my channel.
That's most of my early videos, which is why I don't like them.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. It's just under 200 views shy of the Uprising one.
Oh, okay.
But my second is my eighth, the video where me and Chris talked to Darth Dawkins, and that's at 6,900. It's almost up there. It's really close to the Albert Pike one.
You know what?
Large numbers.
Here's the funniest thing too, because if you look at my next viewed video, it's me and my son's reaction to Prince's a Raspberry Beret.
The thing that frustrates me most about YouTube is I mean, I've had a few less views over the last month than what I normally would have on videos. I know that for a lot of channels that's been the case, but some of that's been things that have happened that I haven't had control over and stuff like that. So, but my most viewed video in the last fortnight is a video that is no longer you can no longer catch on my channel. It's still there because it got so many views. But I had to go into Albany to pick Rob up from hospital. And I went after finishing a stream, and the cat started YouTube streaming again for me. Black screen.
Oh, no.
4 hours, most viewed video in the last month. And the chat for it, people jumping in and out of that, wondering what was going on, and then telling jokes in the chat and everything. So I've archived it. It's not available for anybody to go back and view because it's really boring. But these had so much fun, and it had so many views over those 4 hours. It's really frustrating because my actual good content in the last month has had less views than that, and that's annoying.
Well, I want to go back and touch on something Matt had mentioned earlier about attacking people, and not attacking people, but attacking the arguments themselves. I am, as everybody knows, everybody in the chat knows that I am a religious person. I am a Buddhist. And I will, like the rest of you guys, I will attack the arguments because a lot of them are stupid. But I do feel that's why I like doing this with all you guys, because I can come with a different perspective than a lot of you because I'm still in there. I'm still there. I wasn't and then was where a lot of you guys was and now isn't. So we get that two different interactions. So a lot of times, like we've seen, I will be respectful for somebody that wants to come on and they want to talk about their views. When you start being a douche canoe, that's when we'll start being a douche canoe. Also, if you want to come to the channel and you want to talk your religious ideas and you're going to be respectful with that, we will have these discussions. We will talk with you. We will answer questions. We will try to help you understand why we feel you're wrong on certain aspects, why what you say is wrong in certain things. But if you're respectful, we're not going to diss on your religious beliefs. It's the arguments that come. Like, my biggest thing is I don't have an issue with someone who's religious. I have the issue with the people that try to cram it down your throat and say it's gospel and this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be, and you're going to this, and you're going to that. Those are the people I have an issue with.
Yeah.
So it's like, like I said, I'm willing to talk about my faith. Nobody wants to talk about my faith because Buddhism actually is quite boring.
Well, listen, going off of that, I want people to understand I am, everybody on this chat and this panel should know by now, I am a former white supremacist. Former white supremacist. That means I no longer believe in those ideas. I don't support those ideas in any way, shape, or form. But when somebody approaches me and claims to be Antifa or on the left or liberal or whatever and says that we need to eradicate anyone who has these ideas, you are no longer on the left. you're just as bad as the far right. You don't eradicate people because of their ideas. You try and change their ideas. It's not that hard to figure out. You cannot.
It's not the it's not the
people.
people. It's the ideas.
Hang on.
There are ideas out there that I hate, and again, there are individuals I have no respect for because they've shown that they will they will do anything to dishonor us.
Yeah.
I want to clarify something here with Randolph. It depends on what sect of Buddhism you're going to go into. Zen Buddhism, there's no deities. Theravada,
like Shinto Buddhism, like the Japanese
yeah,
one, definitely has deities,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Shinto
They have
does.
different gods.
Theravada does, but Mahayana doesn't. So it's not just like you said, the two famous ones, Chinese Buddhism, Gonjin. Yes, there are some of them, but it depends on what sect, because what Buddha teaches is how to remove suffering from yourself to help you reach enlightenment. So yes, there are some sects, but just like there is in Christianity, where some will have saints and some don't.
Yeah,
it's the same. So it depends on what sect. Like I said, Zen Buddhism, there are no deities whatsoever. Theravada, there is, like I said. So it all depends. A lot of them are that don't have the deities are known as secular Buddhism. That's what I was to start with. I was a secular Buddhist. I believed in the teachings of Buddha, but not the supernatural aspects of it. I am in my studies starting to lean more towards the Theravada Buddhism, which is the traditional Pali teachings of Buddha, which there are deities and entities there. But like I said, I'm not. I just started that studying on that part of it, so I don't know a lot about it. So yeah, it's just definitely it depends on which sect of Buddhism you're talking about.
Yeah, so from my understanding, as far as like religions go, I do have a fair bit more respect for Buddhism than a lot of other beliefs out there. It seems to be a lot less arrogant in its assumptions. It does tend to be.
Yeah, Buddhism is all self-reflection. There's no.
Yeah, it does seem to be much more compatible with reality, I guess.
Yeah. One of the biggest things to remember with Buddhism is that yes, it is a religion, but it's a philosophy, but it's more self-reflection. Learning what it is that causes you suffering, how you can remove the suffering, without being preachy too much. You got the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path is the entire teachings of the Buddha. So if anybody's interested there, just look up the Four Noble Truths that will get you into the Eightfold Path. And that's all you need to know about Buddhism. The rest is all getting you to that point where you can reach nirvana or enlightenment. And a big misconception for a lot of people is they think there's only one Buddha. There are many Buddhas. Anyone on earth right now has the ability to become a Buddha, but probably never will. So when we do talk about Buddha, we usually talk about Shakyamuni Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. So there you go. I said I don't want to get too
well,
too into it.
Before we get too much further, because I know we're probably going to be going soon here anyway. I want to bring up the fact that nobody has said anything about Jay's name.
Nobody, not a single freaking person.
I didn't get it.
Long pig.
Oh, you don't know what a long pig is?
No.
Oh man.
Go on, Jay. You're gonna have to explain it.
No, we'll let Ed explain it. Go ahead, Ed.
All right. So long pig is the name for a name that cannibals would use for people they were going to have for dinner.
Yeah.
It has been on my name. It has been my name on Twitter for a month now, and I haven't got a single comment at all.
So what you're saying is that you want people to eat a certain part of you?
To be BT.
Likes his meat eaten.
Yeah. So, well, we've breached the 2-hour mark.
And I'm putting everyone's link in the
Yeah,
chat.
Jen's linking
Thanks,
everybody.
Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
I think I didn't look. Da-da. Well, damn it, Chris didn't put Matt's in there. Let me grab this here, and I'll get Matt's put into the description so I can get that done.
So I have a question, kind of going back a little bit. So like my grandma, I guess my question is, where do you draw the line between people who are just indoctrinated and people who are using, like, so my grandma was extremely fundamental, and she kind of developed this almost cult religion in our family where she was kind of the head of everything and controlled everyone in our family's lives. To me, that's more her. Like, she took upon herself to force a whole thing on our whole family and control all of our lives. That's a little different than I grew up in religion and didn't get the chance to learn other things. You know, she was a teacher. She knew, she had the education. At that point, I feel like that's a little more, that's her just being manipulative and, I mean, cruel in so many ways. But like, where do you draw that line of it is the idea and it's the person?
And you have to be able to recognize that. The type of things, the type of people that I deal with, there's some people that, you know, are in these groups simply because they know they have control over other people, and that's all it is. They know the propaganda is bullshit. They know the ideas are bullshit. They do it either as a grift or, like you said, to just be in power. And you have to be able to kind of figure that out and know which people you can reach and which people you got to write off.
Well, I got a different take on this. It kind of goes with what Raven says here. What was that? What she was taught growing up, and if she was taught that way growing up, she's not going to see nothing wrong with it. She's going to see it as a way of life, not so much as a grift or some bullshit. That's what she thinks and believes is truth.
Right. But like Jade said, though, she kind of used it to, you know, reign supreme over the whole family. That was her.
But again, okay, I mean, look, you could probably draw some parallels with other parts of history. Let's say take some of the monarchs. I'm thinking, you know, the last Russian Tsars, for example. They were raised. You look at like Alexander II, the Third, and then Nicholas II. Raised with the divine right to rule, and that it is their job to be harsh on their people, and that, you know, getting rid of serfdom was too easy. So you know, Alexander III thought his father was too nice, though he didn't declare war on other countries, but he did do a lot of damage to his own people. And you got, you know, Tsar Nicholas II, who's, you know, raised, you know, with like, you're meant to be hard. And so that they grow up and they're hard. And so I think when Jade, you say, where do we draw the line? It's a very broad line.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Ed. Oh, when you done, Matt?
I'm done.
So I've got a question for Ed. If you get a goose and you teach it good manners and dress it in an evening suit, do you get a propaganda?
But Raven does bring up something to follow along with this. She says it's a religious thing. If she was the oldest, it was her duty to teach the religion to the family and to enforce it.
And she was not. She was raised in a religious household, but it was definitely not as fundamental as then she created our family to be. And a lot of her family criticized her for the way that she ran our family, I guess. So it wasn't like she has 12 brothers and sisters, and none of them are as fundamental as my grandma. And she's not the oldest, one of them, but not the oldest. I do get the idea of you have to teach your religion or teach your family the religion. And I know that she always claimed it was, you know, she was so scared of everyone in the family going to hell. And I get that, because if you do actually think that that's what's going to happen to your family, that is a scary thing. So I guess I'm trying to piece out like how to feel about her and the situation, I guess. And where do I draw that line of she was being manipulative or she was showing us love in the best way that she knew how, and it was just really fucked up.
I think that that would have to be. It's going to be a personal choice when it comes down to it. I don't think you can. You can quantify where it stops being manipulative and is actual love. I think it's just more how you're going to interpret it itself.
Yeah.
I do want to point
sense.
out, I think that I know this is personally the case for me, but I think it should generally be a rule. Again, I'm open to being corrected on it. That once you become to the point where you're now teaching to other people, you have an extra burden, an extra responsibility to double check the things you're teaching. So if you believe something, but you're not terribly serious, like, look, I'm not teaching other people, I'm not going to really go around trying to push the view. Talk to me about it if you want, but like I find that's it. But if you're now going to get to the position where it's like, I am now going to teach people, I'm going to tell people what's right, I'm not going to now try and educate. I think as an educator in any area, you have that extra responsibility. So I think maybe that would be the case then for Jade's parent, or grandmother, where once you get into that position of responsibility to teach younger people, particularly impressionable people, there's an extra burden that you must adopt, where you now can't just say what you think is the case. You need to do extra work to make sure that you're doing correct. Now, I say that as someone who's also interested in teaching, and I can guarantee you'll find things that I understand incorrectly. But at the same time, I'm always open to being corrected. I'm open to feedback. And so, it's hard because in my case, it doesn't reflect yours or your grandma's or any of our many family members that I'm sure, or extend, and friends to extend the group even further, that we can think of between the five of us. Yeah. So, but I think teaching, once you get into that position where you do have influence, whether that's educational or just like parental or familial, you adopt an extra burden. There is more responsibility on you to not take advantage of the position. And again, that doesn't need to be a direct mental, like, I am deliberately doing this to take advantage. I think that not just that, you now have the responsibility to check your own beliefs.
Yeah. I
might believe X, but if I'm going to teach X, I need to now take on extra work to make sure it's true.
Yeah.
Or to be careful that when I teach it, I don't teach it in a way that is anything close to propaganda.
Yeah.
Ed knows all about propaganda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he's got a goose. He's dressed up in a suit and.
Is it a tie or bow tie, Jen?
Oh, definitely bow tie. It's got to be a bow tie. I mean, it's a goose. If you give it a long tie, it's just going to trip over it, and then it won't have any class. And it's got no class. It can't be a propaganda.
There's a couple of pattern, general, I beat the PTSD out of my soldiers pattern quotes that have to do with goose and certain other bodily excrements that I'm thinking about now. Yes, go look up some of his speeches, and yes. It's actually true to say that he is George. I beat the PTSD out of my soldiers pattern. He was demoted for doing so in Sicily, I think. Sicily or southern Italy? I think it was Sicily.
Sicily.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry. It just reminds me of some of his quotes.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
I'm not easily distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap this up. I have been here for 5 hours. I know Matt's been here.
Yeah, well,
for
that's your own
almost as long.
fault.
Yeah, and Matt's been here just as long.
Yeah.
We're in lockdown. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. But I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. Everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up. We've had some really interesting conversations today. Too bad Chris couldn't be here, because I know Matt and Chris would have went with World War II, and it went this way,
yes.
and then come back around, and then back this way. So
you think I can talk for hours on science? You add history or World War II into it, and I can double that time.
yeah,
I am a boring nerd. And apparently I am the same sober as I am drunk. I just talk a bit more. So like I had friends try and get me drunk to get all my inner secrets out of me. And they said, we couldn't believe it on one of the few times where they managed to do it. They're like, we couldn't believe it. We were trying to get secrets out of you and you kept talking about the Mayans.
So
Apparently
Matt,
I'm the same.
where can everybody find you?
Probably in the links that Jen has very
I posted the
generously put in the
links
chat a
earlier,
few
but
times.
I will-
But look, if you look up Almost a Doctor on YouTube or Dr. Almost, because I couldn't get Almost a Doctor as a handle for Twitter. So yeah, Dr. Almost on Twitter, Dr. Almost on Twitter, or Almost a Doctor on YouTube. Also, by the way, as I was saying earlier, please check my later videos. They are definitely much better from a production point of view, or at least compared to my earlier ones. I'm not saying they're good compared to other people, but compared to myself, my later ones are better. And also stay tuned for the one I'm trying
And
to
there
bring
you are
out
again,
with,
Matt.
with help. So, thanks, Jen.
Jade, where can they find you at?
I'm on Twitter and YouTube, and then oh no, that's it. Twitter and YouTube,
TikTok.
Jaded Atheist. Oh yeah, TikTok. That's what I was gonna say, and TikTok.
I don't have your TikTok. Sorry, Jade.
Oh, that's okay. Jaded Atheist on TikTok as well.
There you go.
So you got anything coming up?
I want to put out a video. I had been kind of taking a break. I kind of want to do a live video this week, or I guess it's already the weekend, doing an update on kind of what's going on with me. I started talking to a psychiatrist and I'm dealing with some of my mental health stuff. So yeah, I'm going to do a live stream probably tomorrow, since tomorrow's Saturday. Otherwise, this and Jen and I are doing our thing sometime. And
Yep. That's what
Yep.
she said.
that's what she said.
That's what she said. You old bastard.
Yeah. Monday. I don't know a time yet, but I am going to schedule a grumpy rant for Monday. Kind of just trying to let people know that just because I'm getting old doesn't mean anything changed. I still hit hard. And I'm going to kind of address, the fact that I really need people to understand that I don't need you to teach me what a white supremacist is. I was one for 20 years. So I don't care what book you read. I don't care, who told you what. Please stop telling me what white supremacy is. I live that life. I know what it is. Your idea of what it is may be correct, but a lot of stuff that I see on Twitter and other social media definitely is not correct. So just try and understand that because I tell you, hey, that's not quite correct, does not mean that I'm a white supremacist. It means I'm trying to tell you, hey, you're not actually correct on this. You can kind of change that a little bit. It doesn't mean I'm the bad guy.
Also, can I just point out, I don't know why it took me this long to actually notice it, but in Grumpy's background, the main picture that I can see, or the main image I can see, is a Winnie the Pooh with what looks like a butterfly on its nose.
Yeah.
It does not fit your grumpy persona.
Listen, real men like Winnie the Pooh. You got a problem with that?
I grew up with it.
With me.
Is it because you can sympathize with Winnie the Pooh because you've both got your head stuck in a hole?
Oh,
I think I
Jen.
know how to win any bets about what Jen is going to say.
All right. Polymathic now. Yay! Even though my links still say Jen's Little Corner, because I'm slowly changing them because people aren't used to them and what to look for. But the branding on the channels will change and everything. I'm actually going to do a video about what polymaths are because people have continually asked me where I got this name from. So I will do a video about polymaths over the next week, and we'll discuss that. It won't be a very long video, but that'll be out sometime during the week. Tomorrow night, Matt and I are doing Schrodinger's bathtub. We were going to have Navadia on as a guest, but I've just had a message from her saying that she's got a longtime friend who's coming to see her, and her and Notcher have organised to go out, and she's apologised, so she's not going to make the show. We'll have her on some other time. The topic Matt and I are going to cover is Australian scientists who've made some contributions to the world, because most of you don't know anything about Aussie scientists. So we're still going to cover that regardless.
There's no such thing.
Nobody knows about them because Australia's fake.
Oh, screw you. we
We're
might,
all
but
upside
because
down
it's more
here,
a
I've just
history thing as
reversed my
well.
camera.
I'm thinking maybe if Chris is available tomorrow, we might ask Chris if he wants to join us to talk about that, because it's up Chris's wheelhouse. That's never mind my mixed euphemisms. Aside from that, as Jade said earlier, we'll be doing
What she said.
what she said with Jade, myself, and Kitty the Atheist, along with guests, where we just sit down and do the view, but do it properly. Aside from that, look out for some new science videos that will be coming up on our channel in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Well, here on Hereticals, starting Wednesday on Cults and Conspiracies, we'll be starting our first episode of the Thule Society. So look out for that one. And then next week, we've got the African Humanist. We're supposed to be talking about Christianity in Africa. So that could be is going to be an interesting show there.
Yeah.
Following week is Thule Society episode 2, and I don't know if Chris has got anything lined up for next week's, the week after for Six Pack. I do know one that you're not going to want to miss, whether this dingbat actually shows up or not. But Sunday at 8 a.m. is the debate with the great Numpty, why non-believers are idiots. On is Christianity true? We highly doubt that that's what he'll stay. We are fully expecting him to go way off on a tangent. But I have the mute and boot buttons ready to go.
It'd be hilarious.
Yes.
So,
I'm definitely as much as I can
yeah.
be going to be in the background for that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, we are now monetized. So if you want to help the channel, like Chris says, it actually does cost quite a bit to get shows to run with different things and this, that, and the other. So if you want to help us out, don't forget we do have super chats are open. We do have a Redbubble link. There's our locals. You can subscribe to that. And yes, Ed, there are now coffee cups. You can get the Hereticals logo coffee cup, or you can get the Darth Dawkins Read the Bible coffee cups. Either one of those.
Or get them both.
Randolph, soon. I think he's got it up, actually. Let me look real quick, and I think Chris has got it already set.
Yeah, I think I have set a reminder for that. That's been up for a bit, but I don't know how to find scheduled things on someone's channel. It just seems
sometimes it can be a pain in the ass. Sometimes,
yeah, I'm not. It's not always easy to find that.
There we go. Copy this, and I'll send it I'll put it in the chat, and then I'll send it to Randolph. Here's a link for that, and then I'll send it over to you, Randolph, so you can set a reminder. And there's a link in Twitter there, Randolph. So that'll be in 45 hours on Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
Awesome.
thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And just because Gary said it, man, love me some Bobby.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for
Be
coming,
safe.
everybody. Make sure you
Bye.
hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, be water, my friends. I can't find the end screen, so we'll see you guys later.